So one of the most important decisions we will all make in our lives is the person that we choose to be our partner, the person we choose to marry, the person we choose to share our lives with. And I say that because they have a direct influence on your finances, your religious and spiritual beliefs, your health, your happiness, literally every area of your life. That person is going to impact you. And as a 28-year-old guy that's single, I've been really thinking a lot about this. I've been thinking a lot about dating and how to approach it with the best mindset and basically go about it the right way so that I can hopefully pick the right person to marry. And as I'm thinking about it a lot, I'm really considering the differences between traditional and modern dating and whether or not one is better than the other, which is kind of what inspired this video. And at the very end, I'm going to throw out a bonus statistic that I came across that will allow you to basically have a less than 1% chance of getting divorced. So hang around until the end of the video to check that out. But let's jump into the first scenario. So the first scenario is sex before marriage. So the traditional method of dating is you would wait and not have sex until after you're married. Modern day times, it's a lot more common and a lot more acceptable to have sex with people before being married. But what does the data say? So one of the articles I found says, our research shows that normative levels of premarital sex between 1 and 8 partners still increase the odds of divorce, but only by 50%. The higher levels of divorce proneness are reserved for people who have 9 or more partners, more common than people who marry as virgins, but still a minority of Americans. So what this is saying is, if you are someone who has had sex with 9 or more people before getting married, you're going to have the highest chance of getting divorced. If you are someone who has had sex with between 1 and 8 people, you will still have a higher chance of divorce, but not as high as that first group. And then obviously, if you do not have sex with anyone until marriage, you are going to have the highest likelihood of a successful marriage. Now, I get that that's way easier said than done, and it's almost unheard of now for people to be married as virgins, but that's what the data says. That's what this chart says. The more people you have sex with before getting married, the higher likelihood of divorce. And one additional thing to note is that in this article specifically, they didn't say there was a difference between genders, that it affects one gender differently than the other. I know there's a lot of guys in the manosphere that say, this doesn't apply to men, but this article does not agree with that. It says it does not make a difference for men or women. The more people you have sex with before marriage, the higher chance of divorce. Let's move on then to the second scenario. So that is living together before marriage. Now, the more traditional way to go about this is obviously not to live together before marriage or engagement. And the more modern way of dating is you move in with someone before you're engaged or before you're married. But what does the data say? So in this article, it says Rhodes and Stanley used a representative sample of approximately 1,600 Americans who were married for the first time between 2010 and 2019. The study found that 34% of marriages ended among those who lived together before being engaged, while just 23% of marriages ended among couples who waited until after engagement or marriage to move in together. So what this is saying is that people who move in together before they're engaged or before they're married, they're going to have a higher chance of being divorced. And they also called out in this article that how you go about moving in with each other and whether or not it's a mutual decision and there's a serious conversation that happens ahead of time also makes a difference. It says then that nuance is what's missed oftentimes. Rhodes says the risk is really in living together before the two of you have made a clear and mutual decision and in announcement even to get married. So basically what that is saying is that people who just fall into moving in with one another, they date for a while, then just decide, the next step is, we just move in together without really having a serious conversation about marriage or engagement or what our long-term plan is. those people are going to be at the highest risk of getting divorced. You should have a plan and a serious conversation about marriage before moving in with someone. So far we got sex before marriage, traditional wins. Living together before marriage, traditional is also winning. Let's move on to scenario number 3. Getting married young versus getting married old. Now, getting married young is obviously going to be the more traditional way, whereas getting married old is a lot more of a modern trend today. We're seeing people get married much, much older today than 20, 30, 40 years ago. So the article says that those who wait to marry until they're over 25 years old are 24% less likely to get divorced. 48% of those who marry before the age of 18 are likely to divorce within 10 years, compared to 25% of those who marry after the age of 25. 60% of couples married between the age of 20 and 25 will end in divorce. So what this is saying is you should wait until you are at least 25 years old or older to get married if you want to have the highest chance of a successful marriage. And I totally get this one. When I look back to whenever I was between the ages of 18 and 25, I didn't really know myself that well. I didn't really have firm beliefs that I stood with. I was very wishy-washy. I was just immature and undisciplined and just didn't really know what I stood for or what I wanted in life. Now that I'm 28 years old, I'm a lot more uncompromising with my values and my beliefs. And I just know what I want better. And so I think that obviously is what factors into whether or not you're going to have a successful relationship with someone. If you know what you want and you know what you're looking for and you know who you're compatible with, it just allows you to pick a better partner as opposed to just falling into a relationship when you're young and dumb and trying to force it to work when in reality maybe you're not that compatible. So there you go. That is what the data says about traditional versus modern dating. In 2 of the scenarios, traditional dating is better. In the last scenario, modern dating, getting married older, is going to be better. But like I said at the beginning of this video, there was one statistic that to me was mind-blowing as I was kind of looking into all of this. And what that is that less than 1% of couples who pray together regularly get divorced. Let me say that again. Less than 1% of couples who pray together regularly get divorced. Now, I don't want this video to, be a religious video or to pressure people into believing something that they just don't believe in. But whenever I read this, to me, that was very mind-blowing. That prayer and praying with your significant other on a regular basis can have that big of an impact on your relationship and the success of your relationship. And if I was someone who didn't believe or didn't have faith or wasn't religious, me just seeing that statistic alone would make me reconsider my belief systems, I think. So again, not trying to make this a super religious video or anything like that, but I thought that statistic was pretty wild. And it's definitely something that I'm taking into account in my future relationships as I move forward in the dating scene. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. As always, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.